my debut in the UFC was the last week. The show runs on a Wednesday, and we fought on a Saturday. So in the UFC, when you fight, you normally fly into town on the Tuesday. So everyone flew in. So everyone who fought on this season of The Ultimate Fighter got a shot to fight in the UFC because it was such a good season, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that they were light on middleweights. They needed more middleweights in the division.
Which is good for you.
But yeah, it was good for me at the time. But it was the best season of The Ultimate Fighter, so I got a shot. And yeah, so all of us are there. Like, I think 12 of us, 2 people didn't go, so there was 12 of us there. And the final episode of our TV program that we'd all been on was being aired on the Wednesday, and we're all in town in Vegas. So I'm like, we need to all watch the episode together. You know what I mean? Like, surely, even though we're fighting each other, everyone knows each other. We all lived in a house together. It's not, you know, whatever. So I remember thinking, I'll ask Dana to sort something out to like make a night, you know. And when you fight in the UFC, you get per diem. So like, you go there Tuesday to Saturday, you get like food money or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they give you a check or they give you cash for a per diem. I can't remember what it was. Let's say it was $300 because I really don't know. So I think it was more than that actually. I think it was like $500. Anyway, so I get given $500, and I'm like, I'm in Vegas. I'm going to gamble, right? Like, so I get given my per diem money, which is meant to pay for my food for me and my coach, and I decide to go put it on black. Right? I put it on black and I win. Right?
And you do it again. You don't fucking leave.
I do it again, and as I put the money down, I get a phone call because I've been like trying to get hold of Dana to organize this thing, and Dana rings me, and I pick up the phone. And I'm nervous. I got $1,000 on black. Right? I'm nervous, bro. And now I get this phone call from Dana. I'm even more nervous. And I'm like, hey. He goes, oh, hey, look, you've been trying to get hold of me. I said, I got this idea. 1 second. I'm just putting all my per diem money on black. And he laughed and he said, that's my guy. I remember. And I won, took the money, put it in my pocket. So now I turned 500 to $2,000, which at the time for me was like crazy money, right? So I put it in my pocket and I'm like, hey, so now I've won. Like in my head, won that. And I said, listen, I got this idea. I get all confident with Dana and I'm like, come on, we're all in town. We should all get together and we should watch the last episode together. I think it'd be great for the guys, but you got to be there. Like we could all do it, but it'd be, he said, say no more. I'll sort it out. Wow. And then he hung up, and I got a message or an email from his assistant. He booked this like exclusive sports place, like a sports lounge or whatever they call it, where he brought all the coaches in. Chael was there. Everyone was there. Dolce was there.
And this is all like last minute?
Super last minute. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And it was like this really high-end sports place. And there's a big picture of us all like together. And we all watched the final episode together, and he puts on food and drink and booze and pays for the whole thing, obviously. And it was pretty cool. And like I made that happen. So I feel like I've got this like ability. I don't know what it is, right? You used to call it vibration or energy, but even people like Dana, even people like Chael, who I ended up training with, even all these like celebrities or whatever, people that I come across in my life, I stay in contact with them. I stay in touch with them. They remember me. That there's something. I don't know what it is. So now to this day, I've had a million ideas, million of them. I come up with the idea to start like a UFC NFT project, like, you know, like fighters moments. Mm-hmm. And I text Dana, like, got a fucking $1 million idea. And he's like, bro, we're on this. You're 3 weeks too late. I was like, fuck. I always think I'm going to come up with something. But yeah, so I have like contact with him, but not really. But he will talk back and forth. But the fact that I can message him and he'll respond. Like 10 years later after I've been, this is what, again, talking about Dana, people don't understand, like, why do that? Like you said, why give your number out to all these people? There's so many positive things and positive stories I know. And another one, when I got cut from the UFC, was I lost to a guy called Mark Munoz, who was a big name, the Filipino wrecking machine. I fought him in the Philippines, in Manila. And I was on like 16 and 16 or something, like 16,000 a show, 16,000 a win, something like that, plus sponsors and all the other crap. But you only get 16. You only get the second payment if you win, right? I lost, and I was getting married, and I remember I lost my visa to America. I had to fly home. I was living in my wife's parents' house. I'd just been in the UFC, been this big celebrity, all this sort of stuff. I made a bit of money, but I spent. Yeah, the money I made, I spent very, very quickly, and I end up being back in Liverpool or near Liverpool in the UK with my missus and her family, laying in bed. Like, fuck, I got this wedding to pay for. So I think I owed like 14K on this wedding. And I was like, never going to pay it. Like, how am I going to make money now? I was lost at this point. And And I woke up randomly in the middle of the night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, like stressed, you know, like, how am I going to pay for this thing? Da, 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 da. And my phone goes off and I get an email and it's from the UFC and they're like, listen, Luke, loved having you being part of the company. Here's your win money. And they sent me the 16 grand, even though I lost.
Wow.
You know, so like, and it was, there's so many things like this that happen that you don't hear about. You only hear about the negative stories. Like, oh, this guy fucked me over, blah, blah, blah. But I've heard so many things like that. So for me, it was, and I do understand that like some people have a negative experience, some people have a positive experience, whatever. But for me, the UFC was up highs and lows or whatever, but it was an incredible company to work for and super, super positive. And my dream was always to go back there. So when I came out, I actually went on a 5-fight win streak. And I got offered to go back and fight in UFC.
You got an offer to go back?
Yeah, and at the same time, I got offered to fight a guy called Mehmet Khalidov, who was the number 7 middleweight in the world. So I could fight the number 7 middleweight in the world. I'm going to fucking destroy, obviously. Or I could go back into the UFC. And to go back into the UFC, I think I was ranked like 48th or something like that in the world at the time. So to get to top 10, I'm 3-4 fights away of fighting killers, fighting the UFC, blah, blah, blah. So in my remember when I said I always go for the win?
Yeah.
Remember I said that, right? In my arrogant mind, I believed fight Mehmet Khalidov, beat the shit out of him, then go back to the UFC in top 10 on top tier money, blah, 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 blah. So I decided to fight Khalidov. And I fought Khalidov in Manchester Arena. I got knocked out in 21 seconds. And had probably the lowest moment of my career.
Wow.
Lost my UFC opportunity. And life goes on. So it was that was a low point, and I never made it back because there was all the UK guys, the European guys, they would get there, but no one had ever got back there. There's a few American guys that have been dropped and then come back, like late notice, whatever, but Europeans, that never happened. So I wanted to be the first guy. I'm sure there's been someone since, but again, this was 10 years ago.